This is my disarray between working on the truck and making YouTube videos. I have yet to clean up for a little bit. And hey, I don't just preach pack outs. Uh, Rear of the truck, front of the truck. Got a couple unboxings. Hey, I got at least one fan in here. Let me turn this thing down. That thing's a beast. So I've been washing each one of these wheel wells one at a time. And then that is my light slash air solution to dry stuff out. So the floors gets a mess. They've got some cracks in the floor, expansion joints. And I can squeegee most of it into there. Yeah, I might have got some paint on the floor, but this floor has seen worse. So this one's still tacky. I got to let this dry completely, but we can move on to the other side. So you can see truck beds make great places to store parts. I don't have the factory jack or the factory bar, so I don't have an easy way of letting that spare tire down, so I got to figure that out. But this is what that other side looked like before I started. Yep, she's a mess. It's actually not bad. So here's the worst spots. And from every photo I've seen online, this is typical for these F150s slash Raptors. So that's one of the bed mounts. So that goes perpendicular to the rails on the bed. And that one's fine. That's just surface. And this one has a little more into the surface. You can hear that. So that's pleasant. But I haven't kept a single car for more than 5 years. And I'm not saying I get rid of the Raptor. We have kids that are 13, almost 13 or something like that, or 12 or something. So I could see this going to a kid one day. But I want to keep it in my name for at least 3 or 4 years if I can. So I want to prolong its life. I know it's going to take a lot for this to rust through, but you can see surface rust. So I'm hoping to just clean that up. But yeah, so what I'm using is it's like a multi-step. So here, okay. So I use this from Eastwood, and I use that down inside those because you really can't do anything inside there. So this just tries to coat it, encapsulate it, converts it. Then this is a degreaser, POR, POR 15. They're like the leader in, well, POR stands for paint over rust. So you saw the dirty side. Now you can see the clean side. So that is almost an after. So this is not a UV stable, meaning if sun gets on this, it'll fade. But what I did was, let me show you the products. I took this after the degreaser, and this is like an etch. Okay, you put that on, you keep it wet, and then you rinse it off. This is another degreaser. This is what I use to remove oil, any bug and tar from the metal before I washed it. That's what I use to keep myself hydrated. Not really. But then this. So this, you put this over your metal, and the idea is that it completely encapsulates it. Now, there's also something else you can do. I've heard some people some good success with this. A lot of guys that do snow plows and machinery, they spray all of their equipment with this stuff. It's like there's some chemical terms, but it's like a waxy grease. So it doesn't run very fluidly. It doesn't drip, and it doesn't come off like WD-40. So it coats, and essentially you spray that on the metal. So for example, with this truck, if this saw a ton of winter, what I could do is get it all cleaned up, get it all black, and then I would coat it with that. And the idea is that this stuff you can just wash off, put a new coating on every once in a while. I won't do that because it's going to make it look all gummy. I will actually just wash the wheel wells often in the underside. And this is a 2013, and we're about to hit 2021. So It's an 8-year-old car, right? Is that math correct? 8 years. So I won't worry too much about doing that. If I wanted to coat this long term, I will probably pull the bed off the truck, carefully place some like padding over here, flip it over, and then lightly blast the underside of it. I could cut out. So that's the spot on this side that basically got coated. Once I had it cleaned and etched, I wire wheeled it, I cleaned and etched it again, and then I covered it with the PR15. This stuff's gonna dry. Once it's dried and cured according to the manufacturer, I will top coat it, and that is this. And I like that this is a spray. So this is chassis black, and this will go on to give me this satin finish instead of the gloss. You can see, use over for permanent protection. And it's, you know, for professionals. So, but I also got all those lovely guys, and that's because this is a 6.2 with a wasted spark. So that's fun. Let me see if I can see. Hey, you're here. What's up, mobility? Word one. Yeah, so this is the, what is it? One of the F250 gas engines if you didn't do a V10. So the 6.2, they put in the Raptors. So it has got 4 spark plugs by the exhaust ports, and then it's got 4 up top, almost dead center. So they call it a wasted spark. So there's a spare set of spark plug wires that go from the single coils that have 2 outputs, coil on plug for the main plug, and then a little extra lead that goes down to the wasted spark plugs. So instead of trying to get back in here from inside that engine bay, and I wanted to coat this part of the chassis as well, I can just get to it from there now. So once I have this area clean, I'm going to do plugs because I figure I don't want dirt in there. I know mechanics don't necessarily do this, but since I'm cleaning the chassis anyways, smash the like button, smash it. Yeah, if the video or audio sucks, it's because I live out in the middle of nowhere. I have really slow internet, so I apologize. But as you can see, we've got her held up, supported. Look at these old shocks. So you can see they, so these are 140,000 miles. I bought the truck at like 80 and it looked like this. So I do not think somebody at 80,000 swapped them out. Those are the original springs. I think you would call these perches. So these, turns out you can get these from Ford for $60 a piece. And to me, that's a small amount to pay to not have to deal with all that. These are $30 a piece, and you can tell these are like a cast. So I opted to go ahead and sandblast these. I'm going to try to clean these up and throw, I don't know, I'd probably just spray them down with some type of petroleum penetrant to make them look a little better. There's the rear shocks. You can see leaking the seal. Gosh, man, those things are crazy. I got to pull these off. I think that's all I got to get out of those. These are the rear bump stops. I'm going to go ahead and clean these up and put them back in because I do want to get the aftermarket bump stops, but they're $800, I believe, for the ones that essentially have a little hydraulic reservoir in it. This one came apart, so I'll have to get that fixed, but it just clamps down onto that. So what I'll probably do is sandblast it, paint it, bend that a little bit more, clean these up, slide them back in. Hope they stay, hope they last. This guy, this new one, which I have been filming a review video for it. Well, I've been doing this, an unboxing, comparing it to that. This thing has been a beast. This is not their high torque. This is their mid torque. So this is like 240 foot-pounds of torque. And this thing is like 600 foot-pounds of torque, I think. Holy Lord, that thing is insane. And Harbor Freight socket. This is one of the Sonics flip ones. So this is two different sizes. The walls, much more reasonable. You can't get this. Granted, this is a small size, but this is a much larger size. I can get this inside of the lug nut areas. That I can't. That little guy, that impact was great. That popped the nuts off of these without any problem. It popped the nuts off of those. It would not do the lower suspension bolts. I tried it. They're a little big, as you can see. This is 30 and this is 27. And you can see these held up. They're not rusty. But yeah, you can see the arsenal, the mess around. I got one side tested. I was up till 3 o'clock and I like the way it looks. And I'm thinking, yay. And then I came out here today to put a second coat on it so that I can start moving on to the other sides while that's drying. And I got both the front fender flares off so that I could get the wheel liners out. And I got the rear fender flare off. And I started cleaning mud out of it. At this point, I am ready to, oh yeah, what's that? C10. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is if I had spare time, I would work on it. I have been half tempted, because of as busy as I am, let's get a nice little down the road shot, to pay somebody, if I had a good friend that would just come out here at my place, in my shop, help me finish this thing off. Because at this point, it needs that put in it. Probably needs a new distributor. It needs a bed, but this one will do for now. It's just wood. And then you can see the air setup. What about the rigid? I wish it would show me the chat better. Say that again about the rigid mid-torque. But you can see the inside. It's got a new harness. That's the air ride harness there on the dash. It needs new glass, new visors. But generally speaking, the inside is fine enough to use. It needed, when I bought it, it needed a harness because most connections were all burnt up or messed up, and especially on this one, the ignition. So I had to get I put a new harness in it. And while I did that, I made pretty little wiring looms and all that good stuff. And then while I did that, I did new 2-link notch air ride AccuAir. And while I did that, you can't see, but disc brakes. Talk about big tires. Those are his track tires. Those are Joseph's Viper tires. So they're the actual road tire slash rim has a little bit more width to it than that. But yeah, you can see the mess. I'm not going to stick around much longer on this because I got to go to the house and get something to get water out here. I'm not going to do a hose, but I have an idea, and I'll show that in one of the videos. I'm wondering if the rigid mid-torque would have took them off that you needed the M18 for. So the thing is the M18 mid-torque that I have, they don't have an M12. So if rigid has an M12, that's cool. That's my M12 solution. And that thing is insane. That can typically do most automotive lug nuts. But that big one didn't even hesitate. Everything that was hesitating on those, which is 240 foot-pounds, Which this one, hold on. Yeah, so if it's 600, then that's similar to that. And if it's 12 volt, that's cool. So this mid torque is the 3/8 with the friction ring. Let's see. You can see the number right there. So that's 2554-20. And then this, so these in theory are supposed to have about the same foot-pounds of torque. This is a 2564-20. I went ahead and booted this from the beginning. That was a good idea. So I'm probably going to clean it up and then throw a boot on it. I do like that I can be a little less careful. I'm always pretty careful with my stuff. I'll probably boot this one. I like this. I like the way it feels. And you compare that one to this old beast. I mean, this thing weighs a ton. This thing's ridiculous. I'm going to throw that on a freaking Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, you can see all of my messes. These guys have been working out great, and the thumb screw is awesome. Look at this. Yes, it's bigger. Okay, now the other thing is this is a right compared to a straight. But this easily weighs less than this. Now, here's what I have found out. And I don't know if it's because this thing is unbalanced. But this, when it bogs down, this thing will stall. The only time these ever stop is when that guy stops. So there is something to be said about that. But I am going to do a separate review video. I mean, like I said when I started this video, look at the mess. It's insane. I'm trying to use my time off to work on that, some 3D printers, getting some products caught up, and videos, and then cleaning up the shop. Those all need to be cut out. Those all have foam in them. They're ready to be customized. Those are all organized, except for the lower ones. I am working on some new pack out stuff. This one is going to be, I'm going to have 2 camera setups for GoPros. This one will be like the charger setup and have the cameras ready and charging. Hey, look at that. Ooh. Yeah, the mid torque. Like, so I know somebody that had to remove a crank pulley bolt, and it was on a Honda, and they recommended some ungodly number. And he bought the high fuel one. Joseph did, the guy that owns the Viper. And that thing did break it loose. But there's like 1 in a million occasions when you need that one. Whereas, and it's heavier. I don't know if I did want to show you these. There's the new shocks. Shocks by Hammer. These things are looking pretty nice. And then I got a set of geysers. I think they're called geysers, yeah. But they're progressive coil springs. You know what I haven't done? So let's see one of these next to the new ones, or the old ones. So these springs, yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. It's crazy. I like being more organized than this, but like last night I was up till 3 o'clock out here working. I'm just trying to get stuff done in the time that I have off during the break. Okay. Yeah, so that's why I need a spring compressor. I bought an Amazon one that was a little better quality than an eBay, or not an eBay, but a Harbor Freight. But we'll see. Yeah. Waiting for those to show up, and then I'll put them together. And of course, all that's waiting on that end to be painted and the spark plugs to go in. So I'm not going to worry about it. If I have to, I could take them to a shop and have them throw them together. But honestly, I'm not scared. I'm not really scared at all. The rears are easy. You just pop these off, throw them on the new ones, throw them in. But like I said, I'm getting everything cleaned up first. I'm going to go ahead and probably paint the axle so it looks all pretty. Yeah. So these got to go back because basically there's a core charge on these. And the guy, if they're not completely destroyed, rebuilds them. He has extra housings. I mean, look at this. Yeah. I am not going mid-perch. I'm going to keep it at stock because my springs are slightly taller, so I'll have more spring. So it'll automatically pop the front up about 2 inches, which they said will really just level the truck out, so I'm fine with that. I will probably get a softer ride because they're progressive springs. So even though they're raising it and it's under a little bit more, yeah, geyser. Even though they're under a little bit more pressure, because obviously you got to compress them to get them on there, because they're progressive springs, they'll be a little softer at first. And then the new shocks have Schrader valves, so I can keep an eye on the pressure. So if I start losing nitrogen, I can go ahead and just top them off. So yeah, this is my mess. This is my nightmare. Come out here at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning and get what I can get done and go back and go to bed and continue. So at this point, I'm going to run in and get the stuff that I need. Yeah, Blair, I've done crappier shocks before. Like, I say crappier, I don't mean to offend anybody, like Volkswagen GTI, but those springs for that GTI were my finger at most thickness as far as the coil goes, and they were probably that big because the rear of that GTI is that torsion setup, it looks like a C, and the whole rear end goes like that. And then when you articulate, that basically that rear end has some torsion that it can do. So it's basically a spring and a coilover, and then the front is the actual coilover, and it's nowhere near as complicated to work on. I mean, not that this is complicated. The back obviously is a leaf spring and a shock, whereas the front is more like a coilover. And, well, what do they call it? McPherson shock and spring in one. You can't adjust the coil with a thread. But, yeah, that's got to be compressed a lot. And the kit that I bought was not the little bolt with the rod. It was the plate with the rod, so it grabs the spring a little bit better. So I'm hoping that will do a better job. Honestly, like I said, if it's an issue, then I'll just take them into a shop and get them done. Gosh, paintbrush it. Yeah, I should probably clean up instead of blabbing. So if you guys don't have any other questions, you guys like what I got going on here and you want to see more Raptor content, let me know. Otherwise, I've got a video. What's today? Today, I think I'm going to upload about the crate caps and all the options for them. And then I filmed all the intro and the initial settings, initial stuff about the impacts. And then I was going to use them and then give you guys some feedback in that video. So I guess without further ado, I will end this if you guys don't have any questions. If you do, pop them on the screen real quick. Otherwise, I'm going to get back to work. No? Okay. Peace, everyone. And if you don't hear from me before Christmas, have a merry one. Yes. Yes, Andrew. That's all this, well, minus the vacuum. Ignore that. This whole stack is the roadside kit. Well, it's 2 sets of Kaizen foam so that I could build 2 kits. One to show off Kaizen foam and one for the actual kit. I do need to get a tire iron that I need to get something that I can get in there to get the spare tire out and find that solution. But I've got this that I've worked out an idea with, and I just need to get that thing cleaned up and fit into the foam. And then the wrenches and I got flares. So we got flares. We got 2 different adjustable wrenches, right? So if you don't have both sets of sockets, I've got dedicated extensions and sockets, but I am going to put a set of those. These are spare set of lug nuts. I'll go into those later. tire repair, an air pump, which pre-warning, I'm giving you guys this air pump. This air pump is going in a giveaway on this video because I have one, and that's from Ohio Power Tool. So everyone give a shout out to Ohio Power Tool. The rest of this oh shit. So I'll have a 1/2 inch SAE and metric socket set on this side. This right here, I don't know what I'm going to cut into that foam. I might take that back out. And then the big, you know, for the jacks and all the other stuff. So yeah, this video, sweet, order those bits. Yeah, so I'm trying to get to this video, but honestly, this has got to get done first. So I'm going to head out. Thanks for asking questions. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Tell all your friends about me, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I appreciate it, and have a good one. Don't forget to pack out. Raptor!